For those listening in today, do you mind just giving a quick background on yourself and kind of how you got into the NIL space a little bit?
Yes. So first off, I do want to thank you for having me on here. It's a privilege and an honor. So thank you because I highly believe in what y'all are doing as well. So thank you. So a little bit about myself. I am originally from West Texas, Odessa, born and raised, and I very much was raised on tradition. And so I graduated from Permian High School, yes, and all football, and went to Texas A&M, which is another school that is full of tradition, and really wanted to dive into orthodontics. Like that was my dream, my goal to be an orthodontist. Well, that didn't pan out. So found another part in the field and became a dental hygienist. And I did that for about 11 years. And I still temp from time to time just because I enjoy it. But I really wanted to find something where I could be more present in my children's lives. I have two young boys. And I just think that being there and being able to be in their school and watching them grow is something that is fleeting. Time is can be an asset, but also is a burden. So I dug into financial world about 2 years ago, and I have loved it. I really truly believe that there's not enough financial advice out there, especially for our young adults, young children, even. I think it's something we should be encouraging more in the schools. And but it's just not there. Unless you get like a minor in business or something like that, you're not really learning anything about finances. And even that's evident in being in the dental world because a lot of dentists are beautiful and creative and artistic at what they do, but then when it comes to the business side of it, they tend to fail. So the financial world was something that I was like, I can still help people and really educate them on things that they're not learning. So I was doing that for about 2 years, and then I feel like I can help everybody, but then there's a point where it's like, okay, Lyndie, yes, you can help everybody, but let's pick a target audience. Let's find somewhere that makes you stand out in this world where there's, thousands of financial advisors. I was praying about it to the Lord, talking to my husband, and we just sat there. And one day I had an article pop up on NIL, and I started really digging into it, researching it. And I'm an athlete myself, so I just felt like, okay, Lord, let's do this. And looked in my community, and there's really no one around here doing any kind of education on NIL. In Texas, high school is not allowed to have NIL deals, but it's coming. There's 39 other states that already have it present in the high school era. So it's coming to Texas. We just like to be last. So I like I said, and I just feel this need for it. And I work with children that are starting out pretty much eighth grade and up. I want to educate them, educate the parents, the coaches, the administrators in our community on this NIL space because it's so important that they just have people in their lives that are truly mentors, truly want to see them succeed, and that are not always about just the financial aspect of it or about you know, oh, you're going to get paid, let me get paid. No, I'm very much that person that wants to build a relationship with you and work with you all the way through your career. Whether that's just ends at high school, whether that ends at college, or if you go into the pros. I want to be there every step of the way. And not only just educating you on how to get started, how to secure those deals, but where to put that money whenever you do get to that point where you're making some financial decisions. I can help you navigate that role as well. So that's why I jumped into this, because I just have this passion for helping people. And I think that the student athletes just aren't taught this.
I can only imagine too, right? Like seeing how many poor decisions come out of college students on every type of aspect of their life, but also to the financial side. And especially when it comes to NIL, you give, some of these top tier players, especially in the football side of things, a couple $1 million a year. And, what are they going to do with that, right? Probably a lot of them aren't investing for retirement or for their future and figuring out, hey, right, like, where do I actually fall? What happens if I get injured, next year or before that? And maybe it's career ending, right? And maybe they had hopes and dreams of going to, the pros and that panning out, but ultimately too, it can be taken away so quick, especially as, athletes, we understand that injuries are basically a part of the game and it can happen to any one of us at any single time too. So with that being said, though, I know for myself, I was unfortunately kind of right at that tail end of NIL legislation and unfortunately graduated kind of right before it passed. But for everybody kind of listening in right now, I know that there might be different, knowledge bases, right? Some people might be, super comprehensive as far as they know a lot about it. Others are kind of, new into it. They've heard about it, but they're not exactly sure what exactly entails. So for those student athletes, I guess, what exactly is NIL and what and how is it important for those student athletes?
Okay, so good question. So NIL is basically where student athletes can get paid for their name, image, and likeness. So name being their right to their name. So signing autographs, right? That's an example. Or their image where they use a photo for a commercial, or again, signing an autograph on a photo. And then likeness is more based off of like things they represent. The biggest one people probably know is the video games, the avatars for the video games. That's based on their likeness. And this just became, available for colleges for the NCAA changed the rules July 1st, 2021, right? Where before you couldn't do this and they deserve it. So to me it's important, and I know a lot of people are there's that's a controversial issue, right? Where some people are like, oh, NIL's taking the heart out of it, taking the all these things. I mean, transfer portal, you could just start saying all these things about the bad things, but I look at stuff in the positive. And for me, the NIL for athletes is huge because let's just do some statistics real quick. So only about 7.5% of high school students or athletes go on to play in the pros, right? Out of all these student athletes, right? Only 7.5%. And then there's less than 2% from the college athletes that go into the pros, right? But they have made all this money for that high school, for that community, all this money for that college, for the NCAA. They're making all this money because they're the ones that honestly have the fame. And the reason that a lot of alumni or even just I mean, so let's say Texas, for example. A lot of people in Texas are just fans of Texas because they live here. They've lived here their whole lives, right? And Texas has always been pretty good at football. So all that money that these people buy to purchase t-shirts, purchase the jerseys, like that only goes to the school. It was only going to NCAA. Well, now the student athletes are getting a part of that and they're getting to benefit from it too. So the financial opportunities right there's number one, right? That they're getting a piece of the pie now. And then control of your personal brand. It is teaching them to, make this brand for themselves, and they can even start their own business. So it's teaching them other things than other than just, oh, I'm getting paid. Also, leveling the playing field, which I already kind of talked about. That one's huge. Now they're actually benefiting from their jersey sales, and in that sense. And then another one is it's giving athletes that are not high profile sports, not, all football. It's giving these other athletes an opportunity to make money off of their sport too by, like, let's say being an influencer on social media. Or so it's not just for the elite is what I'm saying. It's for everyone. And if you have just a desire to, I mean, you're already posting on social media, so why not try to be better for your community by getting that recognition from a brand or from, a sponsorship. So I just think it's huge in a lot of ways, to be honest.
Yeah, definitely. And no, I appreciate you just sharing more about what it actually looks like and entails, but what it looks like too for even those athletes that might not be the high profile, high caliber player. They might be playing at still a D1 school, but maybe they're more of that bench roster player who's not getting the exact same limelight as some of the other individuals on the team. The NIL journey starts way earlier in the process than for other individuals. But for an athlete kind of just starting out in the NIL process, what are some of the first steps that they should take as far as from a social media perspective to reaching out to, someone like you who's a professional that they can work with and partner with so that, you're kind of guiding them along the right way, the right journey, how to do things. But also kind of the last little bit of it, I guess what's an appropriate age to start, right? I know that when we first talked, it was already getting down into, eighth grade, high school, which is crazy to
Hmm.
believe, where, back a few years, it seemed like, hey, if you're in college, that's kind of the time to do it. But how can you almost prepare beforehand so that you're ready to actually kind of take on the battle, I guess, of NIL and the responsibilities that come with it?
So I think that starting young is huge, in my opinion. And that's why I say eighth grade, because I don't think you need to go any younger than that. But I think eighth grade, because most of the time, that's when you've kind of picked your sport, right? Before that, you're playing all different sports. You're trying to figure out what you want to do. But around eighth, ninth grade, you've like chosen the sport that you're going to play. And so you're playing on a select team, especially if you want to go further, right? You're playing on a select team, you're playing a club league. And so I think that that's where it really needs to start, because these recruiters, these coaches, they're already looking at you at that age and trying to prepare for their future of their team. Even in high school, a lot of kids can play varsity as a freshman. Like from my perspective, my hometown, our grading was different. Junior high was I'm sorry, seventh grade through ninth grade, and high school was only sophomore to senior. So as a freshman, you could go up and play varsity level because they didn't have certain sports offered in our junior highs, right? So there's a lot of things that just kind of depends on where you're at, but I think eighth grade is huge starting out. But in my opinion, the way you get started is you really got to know the rules, right? And that's where someone like me comes in. You don't have time to really look for the rules and to keep compliant and all these things that your school and what your state is representing, and then going even national. Like, okay, what is the United States saying we have to do, or what is the world saying we have to do, right? And it's different in every state. It's different in every university, and it's probably different in every high school. It's going to be that way, just depending, and it's going to constantly be changing too. This is so new that you need someone, I think, helping you to navigate that role and just knowing the rules, knowing where we stand. Let's say you're at even a D3 school, you know, you have to know the rules and you got to be compliant. And I'm one of those that can help navigate that, but also I can talk to the school for you so that you can just play your game, and you can focus on that because you're already focusing on school, focusing on your sport now. Now you want to add in pretty much a job, because NIL is kind of like a job, right? And so having that person, I think, there for you is huge. I'm not saying you can't do it on your own, but I just think having someone that has your back is a big part of just staying compliant. Also, you need to start building your brand. That's probably the biggest part of starting out in this. Even before you start, I mean, I think knowing the rules is huge, but building your brand, like who do you want to be outside of your sport? Like, do you love mental awareness? Do you want to be an advocate for that? Do you want to show that, hey, I have a story that actually aligns with that and I want to talk to other athletes? I don't think that student athletes realize what an influence they are on just everybody, not even probably their team alone, but outside their team. People look up to them even if they don't want that role. And then just being consistent is another thing that's huge. If you're just posting here or there, you're not getting seen like you need to be. And so being consistent, picking 3 days, let's say, out of the week, Monday, Wednesday, and Friday, and posting it at 8 a.m. Like that is being consistent. And it will show and people will start being like, oh, I see that you do this. Like, tell me more, you know? That is a big part of being on social media is just being consistent. And then just finding your target audience. What do you want to relay to your followers? Is it TikTok where you're kind of being entertaining? Is it on a professional level like LinkedIn? You know, if you're a senior in college, you should be on LinkedIn because your next journey, even if you want to play in the pros, you need to start getting those little connections where it's like, oh, do I want to go in the sports world? Do I want to go in the finance world? What do I want to do if I decide to retire in 3 years or whatever your goals are, right? So the different platforms is huge too, and knowing where you want to be or where your audience is. And then kind of having like a little, honestly, like a little media kit is huge, you know, having a set of images that you can portray or a couple of reels where you've played your video, you know, played your best, all your highlights. You know, you can show all your best highlights of, you know, your game. And then also having those moments with your friends where you're real and authentic and they see that, oh God, this is a person too. You know, he's not just this famous football player or famous, you know, she's not just all about gymnastics. She also is a human being. And I think that really helps other people relate to who you are and that you're not just an athlete. So those are just a few kind of things that I think would be huge on just kind of how you start out. And I also help with that too. So
To your point, right? I think the most important part that you mentioned is for these athletes, the biggest thing that they're trying to focus on is their athletics, their academics, and NIL. Yes, they'd love to have all these opportunities, but for the majority, it's like if they don't have their representation, if they don't have somebody kind of, and I hate the word, right, holding their hand throughout the process with them, a lot of times it kind of just goes unnoticed because they're so focused into, you know, their true passion, which is competing on and off the field. And so yeah, I think that's when partnering up with somebody like Lyndie is really important and imperative for those athletes to say, hey, you know what, that's something that I can help take off your plate, but also to really help make the most of just who you are as a person, but also on the athletic side as well. And I know you started kind of going down the path of social media, right? And kind of just the presence there. Social media is so vast and broad now, right? Instagram, TikTok, Twitter, X, I guess now you could call it, LinkedIn on the professional side, even. You know, what are some places that the student athletes that you recommend, I guess they should explore in a sense? But also, too, I mean, what are some just classic do's and don'ts? I mean, some of the times, right, you see young high schoolers, even college athletes, student athletes, where they don't know exactly what to post or maybe what to put on there. And next thing you know, it's actually something that's, you know, affecting their reputation now, their status, something that, you know, is on or off the field.
basically, your social media is your digital resume. Okay. So it is, everybody sees it at one point or another. Like you, if you post it, you can't hide it. Even if you go in and delete it, it's still somewhere out there on the web where someone could find it and dig up whatever they wanted to, you know? So my personal opinion, maybe not everybody agrees with this, is to think of it like that as a resume. I mean, would you want someone that you want to work for looking at this? Would you want your dad looking at this? Would you be proud if a friend saw you doing something that maybe they don't agree with? So I just feel like, and then, I mean, even showing too much skin sometimes, like have some respect for yourself in essence, you know? Also, profanity. Even if you have a favorite song, use the clip that doesn't have the profanity in it, you know? Because people still know the song. And if that's your vibe, so be it, because you want to show the real you. I'm not saying to not do that, but if it's all you have is this, you know, profanity, 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 people sometimes turns people away from that, you know, they'll be like, okay, I'm gonna go to the next one, you know? So I think that is just a huge part. And then for athletes, there's a lot of platforms out there that will get you just noticed with brands. And I know a lot of people also use like Huddle, Max Prep. You know, there's some platforms that you can just be on that recruiters are also on looking at that stuff too. But brands, someone like that's a local business is, I guarantee, researching every single platform you're on. So I just think that you've got to be mindful of that and know that, let's say, you know, your favorite restaurant, maybe they love you, they see you all the time, they know you because you're coming in all the time, but then they go to your social media and be like, wow, I didn't think that he was like that or she was like that. Or, you know, so you've got to represent who you are at all times. And you can still do that with, you know, covering your body up or not using profanity. And I think those are probably two of the biggest, you know, when it comes to your social media presence.
Yeah, I think that's important too, right? Just common rules to follow. Let's follow them. Almost
Hmm.
think I like the point too that you're making, right? As far as put out there what you'd want to have showing on a resume. People are going through with a microscope on a lot of these athletes and seeing, hey, what are they posting? What are they talking about? Even digging up stuff to your point from deleted accounts, things that was posted or
Hmm.
said years and years and years ago, even if it was, in high school and they're now a senior in college, it's still something that's being brought to light.
I
I
did
think,
want to stop you real
yeah, yeah.
quick. Also, you can revamp yourself. I don't want to say like, oh, go delete everything. Don't even worry about deleting it. Let's just revamp yourself, you know? So let's show, if you want to go to a more professional side, let's go to a more professional side and let's show that of who you are. So I think even if you have posted those things in the past, don't just go start deleting because people will notice that too. Let's just revamp.